Where did you play, Sam?
I played. I played on Sunday with Sonny and Tunde. Just this little pickup game. It was all right.
Where was it from?
Westwood,
Oh, was it? Oh,
Tommy's
on the,
Field.
by the freeway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally just there. But the pitch was so hard. It was one of them, like like one of the first old school Astros.
Oh, was it an Astro? Oh,
Yeah. It was an Astro, but it was like I got to be honest, Jeff. It's too old to play football, but it was all right.
It does. You just wake up that next day and your legs are just fucked. The whole body's aching.
My feet are absolutely killing. They've honestly felt like I've been hit by hammers.
Oh, well, then Disneyland's going to be perfect for you.
Exactly, yeah. Nice 50,000 steps today in the heat. That would be lovely. Probably take us 3 hours to get there as well because all the freeways are closed because of rioters and like the whole thing of it's going to be.
It's just every week there's something going on, isn't there, in this time? It's just
everything.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Did you, Sam, what about that? I don't think we're going to be able to show it, but what about that picture of the photographer I know who got
a rubber bullet in the head? Oh, it's lucky
right
that one in the eye, wasn't it? That took your eye out, wouldn't it?
Oh, easily. And do you know what the thing is? He may have even had because he's a photojournalist, he may have even had the camera by his eye. Imagine it hit the camera. The camera would have went into his head.
I saw the Aussie woman as well who got shot by one as well.
She got shot in the leg, didn't she?
Yeah, so it's not good though,
it was clearly deliberate, that. Because the fella turned and pointed at her.
Yeah. It's just the whole... Well, welcome to California, right?
Welcome to California. Yeah.
Listen, boys, we can't all we complain about people coming to our country and complaining about how we live, so let's not do it to them. Because this is how they fucking live. They're fucking maniacs, every one of them.
So should we get started?
Let's do it.
The Welcome to Football or Soccer, the podcast with all of us here. We haven't got Chris because he's in England on the piss, I think, playing loads of golf. Yeah. So it looks like he's having a blinding time. I keep getting photos from him all the time. So he's having a blinder. He's been playing loads of golf. But it's been a bit of a slow week, I suppose. But we'll start with the big news, which we thought was going to happen. Ange has been given the boot.
Yeah. Inevitable it was, wasn't it?
It was inevitable. I think it was decided by, and I'd heard inside Spurs that it was decided before the game was played.
I remember you said that a few weeks ago, and I mean, it really was inevitable. I mean, I think they'd calmed down from the emotion of winning that cup, and the dust had settled, and they got to take a look at their season, and it kind of was a shame for him because on one hand you got this European trophy now, and then on the other hand you got the club's worst league season in ever.
22 league defeats, I think,
and the first team to get to that point and not be relegated. So
38 points they were at, weren't they?
It's in Barton, which is for a Tottenham side in Barton. Do you remember back in the day, it used to be the race to 40 points, as they say?
Well, West Ham were the first team, had still the highest points, went down on 42.
No, well, there you go. So, yeah, I mean, it was inevitable. And I think that Daniel Levy is he's a beat to his own drum, the guy. Like, whatever he says goes. And it's just so ironic that, like, you go through all these amazing world-class coaches and then you finally bring in Big Ange from Celtic and he finally delivers, but then he still gets the boot as well. So,
there's a bit of me that says, though, I think it was the right decision.
It was. I agree. I think it was the right decision. I mean,
and I know it's that Moyes, and I think it's actually what West Ham should have done with Moyes when he won it for us, because then it went on, got even more toxic, and actually all went backwards even more. I actually think, and it looks promising that it's Thomas Frank, who I think we all agree is a good manager. Be quite interested to see what he can do there.
I like Thomas Frank a lot. I think he's
brilliant. Too. I love hearing him talk. I think he's honest. I think he's one of them. I remember seeing him being interviewed this season. And they said, like, because do you remember they were winning at home and they were scoring like the first 30 seconds every week at one point. And then they were getting battered away. And they said to him, "Why can you win at home? You've got the best home record, but the worst away record." And he went, don't actually know. He went, if I knew, he said, I'd stop it happening. He said, but I don't actually know. And I actually thought that was great. Like, it was a great bit of honesty, because obviously he does want to try and find that out. And it looked like he got it together in the end, but it was weird. How can you win so easily at home at one point? And it was a mental block, obviously, or something. But I think looking at Spurs, this is where I think a lot of Spurs fans are probably Levy's thinking, do you go and give Ange that 100 million now to go and pump in to do it?
You may have to change it anyway, and then someone else is going to want 100 million. Yeah.
Or give this guy the 100 million, and maybe they're actually in a good spot. They're in a Champions League, because obviously it's like the league's gone from last year. It's a complete reset, refresh. And then so someone could go and do something, because I don't think that Spurs team is terrible.
No, I don't think it is either. I think they got some good players in there. They just can't seem to keep any of them fit.
Now, and I wonder with that, is that part of the way Ange played with that, which was a bit Klopp as well, like more
Sunday League 11 aside. I don't know. I think Klopp was known for this. What's the heavy metal football or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
But he had a lot of structure. Maybe not the most structured, but
no, much more than Ange, that's for sure.
Postecoglou didn't seem to have any structure. You know,
did Ange in his second season just get found out? And look, listen, I know they went on a cup run to Europe, right? But let's be honest, Man United got there as well. When you look at the teams that they played, it was quite written in the stars that both of those two teams should have got to the final.
Did you not see Jose Mourinho?
Even in poor.
Well, Mourinho called it, didn't he, at the beginning of the season? He said if Man United and Spurs aren't in the Europa League final, then they've had a shocker. But it's also...
he did?
Yeah, he called at the beginning of the season. He was just like, when you look at the teams that are in this competition, if I don't see a Man United Tottenham final, if they avoid each other on the side of the draws, he said I'd be very, very surprised.
Because is this the first season, and I think it is the first season, that the Champions League teams don't drop down, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, they didn't drop down this year, did they?
No, because it was
which made it a big difference, because always you had a Champions League team in the semi-final or the final. So that is a huge difference. And like when they were playing Lazio's, AZ Alkmaar, Lyon, like these are teams that if you put them in the Premier League, they'd be around that area where they would be as well. So I think it didn't surprise me. I think, look, a trophy looks great, and I think it was what Tottenham needed, without a doubt. And I think it's actually a great move for Ange also, because otherwise leaving on just above relegation or relegated, but leaving with a trophy in you're actually, what people are talking about is you're leaving with a trophy in your hand. So people go, hey, this guy's a winner.
Because people aren't going to remember it.
That's a good point.
In 30 years' time, when the next generation...
In 2 years' time, they won't remember. Because you lot don't remember West Ham were at the bottom of the league when we won it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
People just remember West Ham winning it, and it were a bit better before and things like that. So that it gets forgotten very quickly.
100% it does. And people don't remember who came the runner-up. People remember who the winner was. And yeah, I mean, you can see it. And look, it's great for Ange for his CV. He's now got a European trophy on his CV. I mean,
another trophy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that I can't see him ever getting a job in the Premiership again, but I would certainly not be surprised.
Do you know what? I still, and I've seen it on a lot of fan sites, and I said it in the season, I still think Ange and West Ham is quite a fit.
I mean, I'd be interested to see it.
It'd be hilarious. Hilarious.
I don't. Sure. There's a bit of me that actually, because it's what the fans want, is that more attacking football. West Ham fans, we don't want this defensive football.
You don't have the goal scorers though, like Tottenham do. At least
but listen,
or the defenders or the midfielders.
No. But what you're saying is, like, yes, you've got to go. West Ham need new players, but we're going to get them new players now. Who knows what we're going to get? But you've got to look in our front three as it stands with Fulkrug, Bowen, and Kudos. And like, let's say Kudos on form, like he was last year. You look at that and you go, is that much worse than Solanke, Song, and Kulusevski? I arguably would say it's better on paper. We just had, and Paqueta.
Yeah.
Paqueta, that's a different story.
So,
isn't
like,
it?
you know, like when you talk like that, and actually you say, has Ange got the players that could do it? I've seen it on a lot of West Ham fans forums saying that they'd be quite like Ange, and I just think, you know what it is with Ange? I think he could play the West Ham fan base better. I think he
do
could
you know what then, Sam? Let's pivot this slightly towards West Ham and away from Spurs, because that's happened. And what's so obviously, I'm assuming, and actually I know most of the West Ham fan base don't like Potter, right? They don't think he's the answer. But what if let's just say Potter was sacked, which he's not going to be, and they brought in Ange. What success is it? Just going there and 1 week you get beat 7-0, the other week you might win 3-0. Like what?
No,
what,
it's the Moyes. Listen, and that was the West Ham fans. It was actually Moyes. That's what I said at the time, and this is where I said as well, be careful what you wish for with getting rid of Moyes, right?
Yeah.
What we wanted was a manager to come in, play a slightly more forward-thinking way of football to get the exact same results. That was exactly as what Moyes was getting. When Moyes was doing better.
Though. A manager who plays a more
ultimately, we'd love to say, look, we want to be going for Champions League, but we're not going to get the funding for the team to be able to do that.
Exactly.
So what
what
we want to be doing is going for the Europa Conference, Europa League. We want to be challenging for that, and then having a cup run, a League Cup run, and an FA Cup run. That's really, I think, West Ham fans would look at that and go, you know what? We got to a semi of a League Cup. We've got into the Europa Conference League. We beat Liverpool away 1-0, and we've had a good laugh this year. That's kind of, we've seen a couple of young players come into the team, and that's really what you can hope for with a team that's not going to get that backing to be a top side.
But the thing is, though, with Ange, right? With all due respect to West Ham, Ange with a better squad of players has not managed to do.
No, he's been found out.
Really. No, I don't. Well, you're the one who's advocating for Ange, so that's why I'm
just saying it was happening on forums.
I know, but you're not against it. Clearly, you're not.
No, do you know what it is? I'm not against it because I'd much rather.
You'd rather go down. I want Ange. You'd rather go down just as somebody.
I don't want to see us go to Burn. No, I don't want to see us go to be playing Burnley at home with 11 men behind the ball.
Yeah,
with cowardly football.
Fortunately, you're not there.
But he definitely.
And that's where. No, we are doing. That's exactly what we do. That's how we play. That's what him and Lopetegui and Moyes all have done. It's that safety first approach, which I think there's a man between what we got and Ange, and I actually think the answer to that is Thomas Frank. I think, and that is where I'm really excited to see him at Spurs. To be honest,
think of all those appointments, right? So you just mentioned 3 different managers who all play the same way or play a similar way.
Yeah,
and I actually don't think Potter would play that way normally, because he definitely didn't play that way with Brighton. But if all 3 managers have been appointed based on that style of football, then it's not the manager. It's someone up there. It's someone who is saying, I just don't want to get relegated, because as soon as my club gets relegated, the value drops by £500 million.
Yeah, but no, that's exactly, and I think that is a little bit of it. I think that's the problem. We haven't got the ambition.
It's not a little bit.
It's a bit like the Palace as well, where we're all right being 13th every year. We're not getting relegated. We're there. That's who we are. We don't have to put major money in. We'll sell.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I don't want to talk about West Ham. It depresses me even more.
Of course you don't. I wouldn't if I was you either.
It depresses me. We've had this fake transfer window's open at the minute.
It's a little
because
bit of
Club World Cup starts Saturday, doesn't it?
Yeah, it closed today, the window.
It's still open. It's got another 2 hours to go, I think.
Yeah, 2 hours. Yeah, 7 o'clock UK time, isn't it?
City are doing a bit.
They always do a bit. City,
I've got to say, I
lot.
think that Ait Nori is a really good player. I think that's a good signing, that.
Who?
Very exciting.
Ait Nori from Wolves. It made me think of poor old Wolves as well. They get desecrated every single year, don't they?
Every year,
like,
they get.
They lose their best players every single year, don't they? Like, guaranteed.
But I would put Wolves in a bracket with Brighton and Brentford, where
no, I wouldn't. Well, what you mean of getting good players?
Yeah,
they went through that Mendes era, didn't they?
For them. Yeah. But it's a business strategy for them, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah, you're right. I actually meant as in a good as well run a club, and they're probably not. But to be fair, that guy that came in, is it Pereira?
Yeah,
his name?
Yeah, Vito Pereira. Yeah.
Vito Pereira. I've got to say, he came in and done a brilliant job in the end, didn't he? Because he kept them up. Yeah. Like easily, and they were gone, weren't they? At one point, they were like really struggling.
Yeah. I do think he was quite lucky. The fact that the 3 relegated teams were just so shit this year. I mean, I do hope next year.
They were so bad, weren't they? They were so bad.
They were the worst 3 the Premier League's ever seen.
Yeah, and I really do hope that next season we get a better fight from Leeds, Sunderland,
Burnley, and Sunderland.
But I can't see. I can see Sunderland going straight back down.
They've just sold Joe Bellingham today for 35 million. Sounds a weird, because I've seen Joe Bellingham play, and listen, he's not Jude, right? And he shouldn't be compared to him either, because he's looks the same and he's the same name doesn't mean the same player. Sounds a big fee.
The fella who looks the same has the same name.
He looks identical to him, doesn't he? They're like identical twins, aren't they? The pair of them.
The two Nevilles shared a name. They certainly weren't as good as each other, were they?
No, but what I mean is, Phil was still a very, very good player.
Yeah,
like people forget that. Like, but you've got to remember, Phil never went to Everton and played centre midfield.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
And was their captain for a long time. Like Phil, in probably one of the best Everton teams of our lifetime. So, well, I think Phil Neville gets a bit of hard stick sometimes because his brother was better. They both played foot. He gave that goal away for England, which never helped him.
He did it a couple of times. You remember when he gave that penalty away where that nearly cost the treble, and then he cost England. Then he cost England the Euros in the 2000s against Romania.
Yeah,
and then he did something else for England.
Back pass to Paul Robertson that bobbled over Robertson's foot, which was not his fault in any way, shape, or form. But he got the blame for it.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. That was Paul Robertson's fault, though. It was.
But Neville got the blame for it, didn't he?
I thought you were saying it was.
Yeah, Neville got the stick for that, didn't he, at the time? Like, and it was not his fault, but it did hit a massive. But I remember when you see that, it just went like that, didn't it? And it went over his foot. It was like one of them fluke goals, wasn't it? But yeah, I think going back to City, they're putting together. They've got their deals done a little bit, but this Club World Cup, it's funny. I've been listening to a few things this week, and actually, like I know we spoke about him this week. Rory, the Chelsea fan on the debate.
Rory Jennings.
Jennings.
I'm Sam. You know, I messaged the group. I used to think that lad was the most annoying little prick.
I still do.
In the world. I don't anymore. I've listened to him.
I do find him entertaining to watch, though. I've got to say, because he's controversial. He
just loves winding up Arsenal. It's great.
Yeah,
but you know what? Though, also he knows what he's talking about. There's very few things that he says. Obviously, things that
he knows the stat. What I will say about him is he'll talk louder to prove his point.
But he knows what he's talking about as well. He also knows what he's talking about. Like, there's very few things that he says that you're like, no, mate, you're talking shit.
He's knowledgeable about football.
He is knowledgeable. That's what I'm saying. That's why I come to like him a little bit more. Yeah.
But he come up with a point, and it is interesting to say with this Club World Cup with this mini transfer window, right? Are we going to get to a stage? Because I just read just there, N'Golo Kante might go to Ronaldo's team just for the Club World Cup.
No, not Ronaldo's team. Al Hilal, the blue team.
Al Hilal. Sorry.
Yeah.
Al Hilal. Because Ronaldo's team are not in it, are they?
No, they didn't.
Which is so weird why they haven't put them in it, because they've put Messi's team in it. So it's what they're saying is that they could transfer people now to clubs. So what they said, his thing was, are we going to see a bit where Cole Palmer, for example, gets signed by Man City
Yeah.
to go to Club World Cup for 1 month and then goes back. Now, I'm pretty certain what will happen is as players' contracts are being written, there'll be a written in there that you cannot go to another club in Club World Cup or something like that. But it's a weird situation, this, of like you could transfer. But to be fair, we haven't seen anyone really doing it. We've seen Trent, but he's going to Real Madrid, right? So that one kind of makes sense.
He was going anyway, yeah.
I get. So that complete makes sense.
Yeah, with the Saudis, they were saying it was the only reason why they were saying it might be allowed is because they're both owned by the Saudi PIF. So they were going to transfer between one to the other, but it was only going to be like a loan of like 4 or 5 games just for the tournament. And you were right. The reference in the article would be like, it'd be like Man City borrowing Van Dijk for this tournament and then giving him back to Liverpool for the beginning of the season. And
just them saying, we'll give you 3 million quid or 10 million quid, Virgil, for this summer. But then the injuries, that like all this stuff, that it's a logistical nightmare if this starts happening.
That's a nonsense.
But I won't say that it won't happen.
I don't think that'll happen. I don't think it'll happen. No,
because they wanted to bring Ronaldo in just for this. And
I think there might be individual circumstances like with Ronaldo, because this is the inaugural, right? This has never happened before. So I'm actually surprised that Ronaldo isn't going to be there for some team.
And he's re-signed for Al Hilal, hasn't he?
Has he really? I don't know. I didn't see that.
He said he's going to. I don't think he's put pen to paper just yet.
No, I don't think it's done yet, but I think that's where he's staying where he is, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was obviously just biding his time to a new contract.
I do think if there was more fanfare and more people were bigging this thing up, I do think he would want to be there, because that just from kind of like an ego point of view. But because we haven't because it's not on like everyone's lips, oh my God, this World Club Cup, we can't fucking wait. People are just like, yeah, all right, we'll probably watch a couple of the games because it's football on in the summer and there's nothing else if you want to watch sport. But no one's like, it's not like that countdown like it is when we know the World Cup's coming or we know the Euros are coming, or you know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's not that.
People in America, unless you're English, don't actually care, do they?
They don't give a shit
whatsoever.
They don't know it's happening. They probably don't even know it's happening.
No.
Yeah. Tickets, I think the tickets for what's the game in Pasadena? We've been speaking about it.
Rose Bowl.
That's okay.
No, I know that.
Atletico versus PSG.
Atletico versus PSG. So the tickets started at I think just under $400.
You can get them.
You get them cheaper. That was in. That was
it
didn't.
But
then they've come down.
Yeah. They started at just under $400, and now you can get them for just I think under $60. You can get them for now, which, by the way, is still fucking even $60. Which is how much is $60 in pounds? It's like
45.
It's £50, isn't it? 45, 50. That's still pretty expensive for a ticket to a football game that nobody gives a shit about. You know?
Yeah, I think sadly that it is. Football has changed. It's never coming back to what we wanted it to be. The ticket prices are going to get more and more expensive.
What did we want it to be, though, Samuel? What did we want it to be?
Listen, what we wanted it, let's say 10 years ago, let's say 20 years ago, right? We all wanted Roman Abramovich to come and buy our club. And that comes at a price. Now, Roman is actually the difference in there, actually, weirdly, because he actually done it for sport, like for fun, for his own enjoyment.
Fuck off.
No. He didn't do it for a business. He lost money.
Political road, but no, he didn't. He
didn't
do it for fun.
No. What I'm saying is he didn't do it. Yeah. Yeah. He did.
35 years old, the guy, when he bought Chelsea. He wanted,
I know.
He didn't do it for a business.
But are you saying there was no? No, I know he didn't do it to make money.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, all right. Well,
he didn't do it to make money. He was very happy.
His love of Chelsea, did he? Did it?
No. He wanted.
There were political reasons. We all know that, boys. But anyway, go on.
Maybe when he sold it, but not 20 years ago when he bought it.
No. When he bought it, when he sold it, he didn't have a choice. He had to sell it.
which was
when
the biggest joke in the whole of.
Well,
but then,
yeah, maybe,
so we wanted
maybe
them. We wanted the foreign investors. So we literally opened the doors. We got what we wanted, and then we went, but we haven't actually thought about what the consequences are. And the consequences, the everyday man and child cannot go anymore, or can go to a couple of games. They can't do the season, which they used to. And the commercialisation, and the clubs don't really care about the original fans anymore, because there's another bum that will come and sit on that seat and they'll pay that price. And they'll buy a shirt every week rather than a hot dogs, and rather than the man who comes who hasn't got that much money, and he don't really buy the hot dogs. He can't go and buy a shirt as well. So that, as a commercial decision, that's what's happened. We've Americanized it, and we've got what we asked for. We wanted more and more money. We wanted our clubs to be spending £100 million on players, giving 600 grand a week contracts and 300 grand a week. We could have been like Germany, who actually said, no, we're going to do our league for the national team. Our league is going to represent the national team. That's the pinnacle of our league, whereas England
and that's why
is
most
below.
of the top German players go to Bayern Munich. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they play in the same way. They bring in German coaches from the lower leagues or their B teams to the top leagues. They give them time. There is all these things in there. Spain, very similar. So
Italy were the first ones who really tried to commercialize their league.
Yeah.
And then I think
corruption for them was probably actually what.
Yeah, I mean, but the first one in the frying pan, they always make the biggest mistakes, don't they? And I think that's what they did. And then the Premier League looked at their mistakes and said, okay, we can do this, but 100 times more.
Yeah.
And that's where we are now, which is...
And that's where we are now.
Yeah.
I do think football's very different, though, to the day that Abramovich bought Chelsea now. I mean, it's completely different. It's a whole different mentality. The players are different. You've gone for, it's a whole new generation.
What year did he buy Chelsea, Sam?
2003.
Early 2000s, wasn't it? Yeah, 2003.
2003, and football was totally different then. When you look back to when Abramovich bought Chelsea, Man United were the powerhouse.
That also changed there as well. Just in that 2003 was the same year David Beckham went to Real Madrid, which also changed. I think it was 2003 that Beckham went to Madrid, which was also that man also changed football. For players.
He didn't go to Madrid in 2003.
He did.
Yeah, he did. I'm pretty certain he did.
He did.
Really?
So then,
because he was in LA.
We're getting old, Tony.
I know. Maybe my perception of time is a little bit.
He went to LA,
but I thought he went later though.
No, he went to Madrid and he went to LA in 2000. I think he went to Madrid from 2003 to maybe
2003, 2007.
There you go.
Was it really?
Yeah. Wow. And then he went to Galaxy in 2007, 2012. But that also, Beckham, at the same time Abramovich changing it, also changed it for players with image rights and things like that. He was the first one that done all that. Like his contract to LA Galaxy, which was in 2007, allowed him to own a franchise of a team. So forward thinking. Of that time, but that changed football as well.
He was also the first modern day footballer, at least, to have a business manager, and his business manager was Simon Fuller, wasn't it?
Simon Fuller, who put that deal together in, who was a founder of the Spice Girls.
He was the manager of his wife's band.
I see him. He lives out here, I think. I see him sometimes in the summer down in the winter. Down in Palm Springs, because his daughter rides in my daughter's groups as well.
But anyway, going back to that fella was a genius. But Beckham was the first modern day player to
well, he paved the way for the Ronaldos, and what you see now. Like he paved the way with them contracts without a doubt, and that I suppose was that's how long football's taken to really flip. But we saw it then, but we kind of we didn't care. We, as most people, like we went, no, this is all good. This is all good. But the change has been, and unfortunately, it's not coming back. So that's the sad bit for it.
Was this segment? Were we still talking about the Club World Cup? Is that what we're still?
We just kind of rambled off a little bit, didn't we? We kind of.
Yeah. But just to get back to what I was saying though about how football is totally different now. I mean, it's a whole mentality and the way that players think now. Like when 20 years ago, when you were coming into say like the youth of United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, like any of those big teams, like you weren't on 250 grand a week walking around in your fucking.
No, Gary Neville said it this week. What his contract was first 3 years. Did you hear it? He said £250. £270 second year, £290 third year or something. I mean, like 3 years in the Premier League, they were getting £230 a week.
You look like those wankers like Garnacho, yeah, who's on like a couple $100 a week, throwing his toys out the pram, walking around dressed like he's like an absolute. I mean, listen, but you can't say that. Like, I also can't say they're wrong for being paid that because they generate it.
They generate that money. For being paid it. They're definitely not wrong for being paid.
And that's I'm caught between myself there because I agree with you, Sam, in that as well.
But do you think it's?
I think Garnacho. Did you see those videos of him in where were they?
Yeah, it was outrageous. Well, did you see Beckham even spoke about it, didn't he? Beckham said,
"Yeah, he did. He said
that's what I'm saying, Tony.
Who don't represent the club."
So that's what I'm saying, Tony. So you said you disagreed with what I said. So do you think giving somebody like that 200 grand a week is going to be beneficial to making them the ultimate professional, or do you think being on a contract level was on to make work hard's better?
No, I don't completely disagree with you, Sam. I'm saying that I don't disagree with the fact that the lad gets 200 grand a week because, if it doesn't go to him, it goes to the owner. So it's got to go somewhere. Or
exactly.
It can go back to the fans and they can lower ticket prices, which is never going to happen. So let's just take that out of the equation. It's got to go somewhere. But there are people with good character. There are people who are a little bit in the middle, and there are people with bad character. And what Man United have done, they've brought people who seemingly have bad character in and said, here's 200 grand a week. And I don't even know whether that's how much he's on. I have no idea. But that's a club decision. It's not his decision.
But it's also the fear of losing that kid to someone else will pay it.
Exactly, and then
that's why they're getting paid.
All of a sudden, worth £120 million, and that's.
If Man United could get away, or anyone else could get away with paying them £700 a week, they would. Because
exactly.
But if they do that, Liverpool, City will pay them $3 grand, and then it'll be.
But I'm not disagreeing with you, Sam, because Garnacho is. I think he's a fucking. He seems like an idiot. He seems like a real little dickhead, doesn't he? Seems like one of those lads you just want to.
I don't know if it was just a bad video, but like where he was doing the signing, he was yawning. He was like,
no. If you're not seeing the one, Sam, and it's not just Garnacho, by the way. There's a few of them where they get off the coach and they all give the middle finger, and then where they're walking off the pitch and there's a few of them giving the middle finger, and you're like, what? You wouldn't tolerate that behaviour in any industry in the world.
And do you know what? Going back to the money point, that's where the club have no control over them, right? Because let's just say that's Gary Neville doing that thingy. He's on £280 a week, right? So let's just say he's got a 3-year contract, right? They're going to pay him out probably about 300 grand, right? And go, see you later, goodbye.
Yeah.
Now they got to pay him off 30 million quid or something to get rid of him, and they can't do it. So they're basically, the club can't say
they're being held hostage. They're being held hostage by the players. It's like, I'll give you guys a good example. Do you remember on 9/11 when Terry and Lampard and Good Johnson got absolutely wankered at Heathrow Airport?
Yeah.
And were giving it to obviously whatever it was they were doing or saying, they were being pretty disrespectful to the US.
They were also kids as well, weren't they? They were
exactly.
Really young.
They were young kids, but the club pulled them up on it, the FA pulled them up on it, and the police pulled them up on it. And look how they turned it around. And it just makes you think that, like, because these kids nowadays are on 250 grand a week, they can turn around to the club and be like, go and fuck yourself. I'm on a
6-year contract.
Correct. If I want to behave like a little cunt, I'm going to behave like a little cunt, because what you're going to do, I'm going to go and I'll sit in the reserves and do a Winston Bogart and be on 40 grand a week back in the day, and you can pay me for 5 years and do nothing. Or you can kiss my ass and let me say what I want to say, because I know that I've got the power over you guys, because you don't want to have to go through the headache of selling me, taking a huge loss on me, and causing all the unrest with the fans.
Yeah.
So,
it's a different world, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think the players have got so much more power nowadays over the club compared to what they used to, and it's just like it's crazy what we live in.
And again, the clubs have had to break because the fans won't tolerate not getting signings.
Correct.
So we've all created it. The owners, the new owners, the fans, the players, the money that comes in for TV. The Premier League ate itself, and everyone was involved in it. Like us as fans talking about it, doing podcasts, pushing more and more eyes to it. So all of it has generated to it. But as I say, it is what it is now. We can't sit and moan about it because we were all part of it.
Well, yeah, because
no one was happier than when Abramovich bought Chelsea than me, because I had to sit on the sidelines for years watching Arsenal and United always do us over. And then Abramovich came in and we were buying Damien Duff and Glenn Johnson and Crespo.
Was he Abramovich's first signing?
Glenn Johnson.
Abramovich's first signing was Glenn Johnson, yeah.
Was it really?
From West Ham, yeah.
And then we went and nicked Joe Cole, and then we went and got Damien Duff, and then
I tell you what, that was some summer, wasn't it, for Chelsea?
Mate, that's summer of 2003. I mean, I have never been so excited.
Wayne Bridge.
Yeah, Wayne Bridge. I mean, a few of them.
Mutu.
Yeah, Mutu, old baghead Mutu.
Got on the old sniff, didn't he?
Literally.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was banned for life, wasn't he?
Yeah, he got banned. Well, he got Chelsea sued him, I think, for 15 million.
Yeah.
Because he was in breach of his contract. And then, all those players that summer was what a summer that was.
Talking about yesteryear, right? I watched something the weekend. I love Premier League years on Sky Sports, right? I love it. And it was 03-04, right? Yeah. And it was Abramovich's first season. It was the Invincible season. So, and Robbie Fowler was at Man City, right? And he scores against Liverpool, and he runs, and he's like, yeah, like that. And I actually wrote down, what do we think of? And I actually thought, wow, like Fowler was really celebrating against his old club. But like, I looked at it and I thought, now players don't celebrate against their old club. What do we think?
Yeah.
It's all gone
and
a bit like...
they score and then they run and then they slow down and they go. And it's fuck off, you fucking idiot.
It's like Hakimi in the... If I had scored in the fucking...
Yeah, Hakimi in the Champions League final.
Yeah, I'd be doing the old Ronaldo Sue, like going absolutely ballistic.
It's a bit, do you know what? Like it's become just a done. And it's this other thing. You don't walk on the crest. Have you seen that thing now?
Yeah, where people they'll
walk around the crest.
If you don't want me to walk on the fucking crest, don't put it on the floor. About where I'm going to walk.
Like if I'm a Liverpool player, for example, and I'm going to Manchester United, I'm walking straight across that crest.
But it's not even about the crest. It's about this is the quickest way to go where I'm going.
Someone's done it. Probably unbeknown.
It was actually
Bellingham.
Jude Bellingham.
Do you know what?
I
saw him Man City, I think it was. And
no, he did it in Spain as well. I don't know why, because I don't think he has any affiliations to any club in Spain. But he did. No,
I think it was walking around the Real Madrid.
He walked around it. No,
and it's
it was a club in Spain. But anyway, regardless, it's fucking pathetic.
No, but you know what? It's probably some social media person who's gone.
Probably.
We've caught that.
Yeah.
Now this is a thing, right? We're going to push that out there, pump it out there. Now you're the most respectful player in the world, and God.
Oh, they're gonna think you're such a nice lad. Meanwhile,
there was good news for West Ham today. Actually, I've just wrote down here. Chelsea have just pulled out of signing the AC Milan goalkeeper, Maignan, and it was looking like West Ham were going to be taking Robert Sanchez. So you would have been happy, Sam. So now that's not happening. I was like, oh, thank
But
God.
didn't they try and just bid 15 million for him for the AC Milan keeper?
They never bid. They apparently, I was just watching that Carve on Sky Sports News. Apparently, what happened was he's in his last year of his contract. That mine. Apparently, Chelsea weren't even in for a goalkeeper. Oh, I've done this.
Because they've got about 16.
No, and then they were told, look, at 50, that it could be available between 10 and 15 mil. Would you be interested? So they said, yeah, let's have a chat. Then when they got there, apparently said 30, 40 mil, and Chelsea said, don't waste the time, and they walked off. And that was apparently the end and beginning of it.
So stupid. I mean, it did make me feel happy that because it made me realise that the club has realised that Sanchez is dog shit. And he's got to go. So the fact that we were looking at the goalkeeper makes me...
How did Chelsea not go in for Kelleher? How?
I don't think
I don't think he's a top.
Mate, top.
Listen,
top.
Look where he's ended up. He's gone to Brentford. You know, like West Ham, Brentford. He's not a top keeper.
Mate, I'm not saying he's top. I'm not saying he's the best.
No, but Chelsea, you've got to think. Chelsea think will be aiming to be pushing to challenge.
I'd rather have kept.
Right, exactly. But this AC Milan goalkeeper, had you ever heard of him more than a week ago?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, he's French France number one.
Yeah, he's the French
number one goalkeeper.
I know, but are we saying that he's one of the best in the world, though?
Well, he is. He plays for France.
Exactly. It's like, I don't know. We're not sure, are we? So that's what I'm saying.
France he's definitely in the top 5 goalkeepers in the world. No doubt about that. I wouldn't. Is he in the top 2? Probably not. I would probably put.
If he was in the top 5 goalkeepers in the world, he's a 70, 80 million pound goalkeeper.
But he's got 1 year.
No, he's in his last year of his contract. That's why.
That's just like saying Alexander Arnold's not a $10 million defender. He's a $100 million defender.
Well, I know, but his
exactly. That's why, Tony. It's because he's in
the same thing.
Wait, hang on. It's
because it's in the last year.
His contract had 3 weeks to run. 3 weeks.
Yeah, but this guy's got 1 year. No one's going to go and give 70 mil for a player of a year.
No, but you never know what's going to happen in a year. He could sign another contract. He could get injured. There's a million things that could happen. A year is very different than a few weeks.
No, but that's why we're saying his price, Chelsea value him at 10 to 15 mil.
Well, then adapt. Then if he's in the top 5 goalkeepers in the world, then if they value him and are prepared to walk away because they don't want to pay more than 10 to 15 million,
well, what Chelsea
they're
is
even
saying
more
is
stupid than I thought they were.
No, I don't think so. So if you don't value him at 40 million and you've got other places you want to be doing, like in the business, which they've done. Like Chelsea have also just had a bid turned down for Jamie Gittins for 42 million today from Borussia Dortmund.
So would you say that Alisson is in the top 5 goalies in the world?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got a year left on his contract.
Yeah, no one would be giving him 70 mil.
Could you imagine how hilarious it would be if somebody come in and bid 10 to 15 million for him right now?
But you're looking at it in a different way, though. Like Liverpool, AC Milan haven't qualified for Europe.
Yeah,
he wants to go Magnon.
He's gonna leave for nothing, like that. Like whereas Alisson might leave for nothing, but Chelsea, but then Liverpool have got another year out of him, and he's been there for a long time. This guy is he's about to. Who knows where AC Milan are going? They finished. Where did they finish?
9th or 8th.
9th. Yeah, they finished down the league, didn't they? This year?
They're out of Europe, so that's why he wants to go.
They can't afford his wages. They can't. There's all that sort of stuff that comes into it.
They are saying though, and I just heard this on TalkSport this morning, that the only reason Chelsea wanted to sign him is because they wanted him for the Club World Cup, right? Which is, I mean, if they don't sign him in the next hour, it's not happening. But
no, they've pulled out. They've gone.
It's done.
Right, exactly. So if he's one of the top 5 goalkeepers in the world, why on earth would you say, well, if it's not today, then forget about it?
They're obviously looking at another goalkeeper. They're obviously saying...
Well, they're not.
Well, like you know? You're the Chelsea scout now.
Well, which of the other 4 of the top 5 goalkeepers in the world are they?
You're not
going
to but they'll look at a younger one maybe that they think is going to become the next
Yeah,
best goalkeeper.
we've just signed another young one from I think from Bruges that's talked about being the next Courtois or whatever.
Yeah, everybody's talked about being the next somebody, but what I'm saying is, if you boys
Yeah, but an older player can only be something. It's like if you're going to sign Alisson now, right, this year, it's only going to be one of the best goalkeepers in the world for the next year or so, and then he's not.
No, with goalkeepers, I think the age is a little bit different. But what I'm saying is,
Well, I don't, because look, Man City have been in Edison this year, so
I know, but okay, well that's fine. I'm not saying it's a rule for every goalkeeper, but most goalkeepers can play longer.
Maybe Chelsea might buy Edison.
I get what you're saying, Tony. It's like if he's available for 15, like why not just get him because it's a cheap transfer?
No, but he wasn't available. Why not? But he wasn't available for 15. That's what.
But if he's one of the best 5 goalies in the world, and the reason why I'm.
But they might not want to spend 30 on a goalkeeper. That's the thing. They need to buy.
You wouldn't want to spend 30 on one of the top
not if
5
you need
goalkeepers
not if
in
you
the
need
world.
other strikers and things like that, and you can't do it all. Well, then no.
Well, we've got Petrovic coming back.
One of Chelsea's, apart from the centre forward, and maybe the lap will fix that. But apart from the centre forward, the goalkeeper is Chelsea's
winger is a big one for them as well.
But they've got Petrovic, who's just come back from Strasbourg. He's had a very good season there. So Maresca might be thinking, you know what, this guy's tied in on a 5-year contract. I may as well give him a shot and see how he gets on. He knows that he can't persist with Sanchez unless Sanchez dramatically.
But at the end of the season, he was doing well. So what they've looked at is they've gone.
Games,
look, it might cost us a couple of goals, but he'd be okay for another season if we can't get the right person, which is actually a smart move from Chelsea because they've fucked up so many times. The maddest one for me is Kepa going to Arsenal for $5 million.
Yeah. His contract was up, and
that would have been a better keeper for
it
Chelsea
was a release clause, though, wasn't it? It wasn't a choice, really.
Would have been a better keeper for Chelsea to have.
He's tried and tested, Kepa. He's just
exactly, and he's not that much better than Sanchez, but weird, like he's gone. He's really just kind of given up his career now because he's going to be a backup goalkeeper for. That's it now. He's kind of said, "All right, I'll go back up." Which you would have thought he could have played, but maybe he just thinks, "I'm all right doing that."
Do you know? Again, on TalkSport, as you can tell, I get most of my information from TalkSport. Apparently,
sounds like Cundy.
Yeah, well, I do.
Listen, you listen to Martin Keown.
No. Do you know what it is? Every morning I get up, and when I'm up, it's like 5:30, and the White and Jordan clips are just getting put out on YouTube, and I love listening to those two. They're brilliant. But I was listening to it this morning, and apparently his missus has just had twins in London.
Who?
And it's like Kepa, and like I think they were like, clearly it just makes sense for him on many levels.
Listen, I'll tell you what. When you get to a goalkeeper, there's a bit of you, right? You know, like we all look at it as we're fans that we want to play, right? But if you're a goalkeeper, right, and you look at it and you think, you know what, I can sit here for the next 8 years.
Well, Scott Carson.
Yeah, Scott Carson, right? He had a job for nothing. It was unbelievable. It's funny what you're seeing, actually, just going on to that. Pep's had a big shake-up at the backroom team this year as well, wasn't he?
Like, people like Carson. Nicked half of Liverpool's sort of backroom team.
Linders, is it?
Pep Linders,
isn't it?
Yeah, and then they've got a data analyst or something over there as well. Yeah.
But he's had a big shake-up this year. He said, right, we've all been together too long now. Like, let's go. And
Ferguson used to do that. Remember, Ferguson used to do it.
He'd done it a few times. He had Walter Smith there, didn't he? At one point, he had Steve McLaren, Carlos
Brian
Queiroz, Brian Kidd.
Brian Kidd left on it.
Archie Knox.
Left to be the manager.
Rennie Moulenstein he had.
Moulenstein, yeah. Mike Phelan.
Yeah.
They all sort of came and gone, didn't they? Like, so it was it probably do need to have different voices, especially because
it's funny. When you mention Mike Phelan, this first thing that comes to my head, do you remember that video where he stamps on the balloon when they're all on the bench?
He gives Ferguson a shot.
And then has a go at him, doesn't he?
And he turns around and goes, fuck off.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? When he
brilliant
does it.
video, that. It's superb.
And then, so also, what would be interesting for going back to Spurs with, I just thought of it with Thomas Frank, is I wonder if he takes Mbeumo over Manchester United.
Can't see it happening. They won't pay him.
I can't see the wages.
Yeah, they won't.
Yeah.
Well, United's all paying the wages.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
When you're looking at someone said, I saw it on Instagram the other day, Man United are a Mateta signing away from having the best front three in mid-table history in Cunha and Buemo and Mateta.
Apparently they want like Gyökeres as well, I saw.
Who?
Gyökeres from Sporting. The
Really?
Swedish. Yeah.
Oh, is that the forward?
Yeah.
You put them three in a team, it does change that team a lot.
Oh, for sure it does. Massively. I mean, United...
And Buemo's a good signing for where they are. Look, he's not... if you're fighting for top of the league and you're getting Buemo in, you're probably going... Well,
that's the thing. Well, look, if you look
How much are they... Aren't they looking at, like...
65?
No, his wages, I mean.
He wants 250.
What?
Apparently they're going to give it to him.
Yeah, Buemo wants 250 a week. That's why he won't get
I bet he does.
Daniel Levy won't pay it to him.
Well, because Newcastle were looking at him too, weren't they?
Yeah, but they won't pay the wages.
Good player. Really good player. I really like him.
But is he... But 250 a week for...
No.
But look what Mason Mount's on. But look what Mason Mount's on there. He went for the same. He's on 275 a week. Look at Casemiro, 350.
But the point of that is, you'd think they'd learn their lesson and stop paying average players. Not average. I mean, they're good players.
I know what you mean.
That's world class money. That 250 a week, $1 million a month.
It's insane, isn't it? When you think it's 12 mil a year.
Yeah. But somebody who is, you just don't know whether they're going to do it or not.
No. If I was a club, I'd be trying to sign Mbuemo and Wissa together.
Correct. And that Kevin Schade as well. He's a great player.
Great front three. Just sign the whole front three.
Great player.
Yeah,
but it'd be interesting to see what Brentford do next year, who they get in.
Yeah, they will struggle because they would have lost Ivan Toney and Buemo and Wissa potentially in 2 years, which is that ain't good.
It's a lot to come from that.
They do seem like a club that have a plan, though. Like in a similar way that Brighton lose their best players every year or every 2 years, they do, and they always have a plan. Brentford do seem like they have a plan.
Well, they do the Moneyball tactic, didn't they? So that it'd be whether they can find someone. But some of these, you get them in and they don't work. At some point, it stopped. If you can do 100% of transfers that are amazing, you're the best in the world, aren't you? But at some point, your luck runs out, doesn't it?
That's why, in my opinion, and I know it's taken me nearly 45 minutes to mention this word, but old Arsenal, if they don't, but they've got to buy a big striker this year. And if that striker does not come in and hit the ground running and start scoring 25, 30 goals in a season, Mikel Arteta is going to be under big fucking pressure.
I thought Zubimendi was done to Arsenal, but it's not, is it?
Real Madrid.
No,
I'd love
Real Madrid.
Love Real Madrid to nick him now. That would just be brilliant. It would just be brilliant. Because you know what? They as I said, they. I
thought it was all done. I thought it was like literally announced, but it was.
I thought it was done a couple of months ago.
Me too.
It was the same with Liverpool last season.
It's because we saw a Here We Go on Fabrizio. That's why. And then
oh really?
Yeah, he's obviously backtracked, but.
What's his name? Fabrizio Romano, right?
I'm shocked. I am shocked that Arsenal, once again, have not gone out at the very beginning of this window and got their business done. Liverpool, you have done. Who have you bought? You bought Frimpong. You're about to get Wirtz. That Kirkes from Bournemouth. That is three.
Yeah, I think those three are the definite. Well, I fucking hope those three are the definite. The only one who's been announced is Frimpong. He looks good, but I think Bradley will start over him, especially just at the beginning of the season. But Wirtz, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I never knew much about him, and when they were talking about
that's one I think.
Yeah,
I've followed him for a little. Because was he at Frankfurt, Sam?
No, Leverkusen.
Leverkusen. That's what I meant. No, before that though, was he?
He did start at a different German club. I think it was Frankfurt.
Yeah,
I think it was. But I've looked at him, and he looks like a proper football player, like a proper football player. And then Kirkes from Bournemouth, he'll take Robertson's starting place, I would imagine.
No, he has only been at Leverkusen.
No, I think he was at a different club though, Sam,
No,
when he was.
he's not. I'm just looking at his thing.
Maybe as a professional, I don't know. But the only reason I know this is because
His youth
there
career
is
was at Leverkusen as well.
He was at
no.
Cologne.
It was Cologne, FC Cologne as a baby, and then in his
then
youth
Cologne.
career, he was at Bayer Leverkusen. He went through the youth at Leverkusen as well.
Yeah. Okay. So then maybe it was Colm, but I read an interview or a quote or whatever from the president of his former club before Leverkusen, where Germany have a rule that if a player is at a club between the ages of 12 and I think 16, then they're entitled to 5% of any future transfer. Which
his transfer to Leverkusen was controversial, as Cohn felt Leverkusen violated a gentleman's agreement between the two clubs. But he was about 15, I think, at the time, or 16.
So then maybe that's why he came out and did an interview. So I actually think that might be delaying the transfer a little bit. But anyway, regardless, he looks like a proper player, and everyone's saying it's pretty much a done deal. But you're right, though, Sam. Arsenal should have done so. When Liverpool lost the Champions League final against Real Madrid, the next day they announced Fabinho. The next day, or it was like maybe 2 days later. That's what Arsenal should have been doing is, listen, we're not going to win this league, but tomorrow, let's let everybody know we're not fucking around.
And we mean business for next year.
Yeah, exactly. And they have wilted. They haven't done. I don't think they've done
they
anything.
might just be waiting. You got to remember, a lot of these clubs don't want to do this business early because it means you have to pay their wages all over the summer.
Yeah, but I mean, listen,
like,
if you're going to sign someone, yeah, but I don't think that's a terrible excuse not to get your business done early. We don't want to.
I also agree. But when you're bringing in big people, it does make a difference.
They're in talks to sign this. They're in talks to sign this Sesko guy from Germany, and they're going to put all their eggs in one basket and probably drop 75, 80 million on this guy. And I mean, look, you don't know how anyone's going to transition from league to league, but let's just put it this way: Timo Werner scored 25 goals playing for Leipzig.
Good point. Yeah,
in one season. So it's like the time he's going to get on the ball is going to be so dramatically reduced, and we'll have to see. And if it doesn't work, or if he gets injured early doors, and it's like the Arsenal fans are going to be calling for Arteta's head. I've got a feeling that unless Arsenal get very lucky and they get someone that's going to walk through the door and start banging in those goals immediately, I think they're going to. I
really do think Arsenal will get a striker this year, and I think they will be big challenges because that is all they're missing. Once they get that striker, they are massively in business. A left winger and a striker, and they are in big business. Arsenal.
As long as the two centre halves can stay fit.
Well, the winger that they wanted, Nico Williams, looks like he might be going to Bayern Munich now.
And
Kudos. I saw that. Yeah,
Kudos, another one mentioned to them as well.
I mean, Nico Williams, by the way, what a football player! If they got him, I would.
He didn't have the best season last year. He was a bit injured last season, but he is a proper footballer.
He's still at AC Milan.
Footballer.
No,
I'm thinking of Leao. Sorry,
Bilbao.
I'm thinking of Leao. That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah,
but if Zubimendi ends up going to Real Madrid, I mean, I would almost feel bad for Arsenal. I like Arsenal. I know you both hate them.
They'll probably.
I like them. But it would be hilarious.
Oh, it would be so great. I mean, I would love Arsenal to have a shocker of a transfer window and not end up with a number 9 again. It would just be the greatest thing ever.
Right, boys, I've got to finish it up there because I've got to get off to the happiest place in the world, Disneyland.
Get ready for your favourite thing, the magic teacups.
Oh, mate, honestly. I hate this place.
Oh, what's that? But there's one that you go to and you can shoot.
They're good. There's a couple. There's Buzz Lightyear. There's the
Buzz Lightyear one
as well. Where you do
Buzz Lightyear one.
I'll give you a full round. Yeah. I'm actually going to film it today for my YouTube channel as well. So, because I think it'd actually be quite entertaining to see how I deteriorate through the day.
Are you taking Amrit with you?
No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it handheld today. Me and Minnie done a little intro this morning, so we've done that. So we're going to put that on the YouTube channel as well. So yeah, we'll see you all next week, and obviously the club. So does the Club World Cup start this Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will follow this, and then we can give updates on that. That'd give us something to do for the summer as well.
Are you boys going to go to any games?
I'm going to
Rose Bowl?
PSG versus Atletico at this moment.
So that's on Saturday, I think, isn't it?
Sunday.
Oh, that's this week, isn't it?
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. You're right.
I'm glad you've just told me that, because I thought it was weeks away.
No, it's this Sunday.
No.
It's on
It's
Friday.
this Sunday. Okay, so I'm going Sunday. There you go. I'll give you an update from the game. Tell you how the atmosphere was and everything like that.
It's Father's Day, isn't it? This weekend, isn't it?
Is it?
It's what?
I should probably know that because I'm a dad.
It's what, Sam?
On Sunday, it's Father's Day.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wow,
Second
okay.
Sunday in June is not always. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will see you all later. Thanks for listening, and hit subscribe if you haven't hit subscribe.
Enjoy everyone.
All right, chaps.
See you
Have a
later,
good
boys.
one.